everybody, welcome in. I am Scalz. Tonight we are doing our Royal Rumble review. I am joined by Shadow, Jax, and Rusty Blackwell. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Hey, good to see everybody.
Don't adjust your screens. I am coming to you live and in color.
This is a rare appearance of Shadow that is not on Spotlight with Shadow.
Yeah, it's weird to be here.
It's weird to be here. So, while I'm getting the tweets out and the notifications out, first impressions of the Rumble last night. Whoever wants to start.
Best spear ever given in the Rumble by Braun Breaker. Hands down.
100% I'll agree with that, Jax.
Dude, he hit those ropes and we're all watching it and he connected. I said, holy shit, he killed him.
I didn't think he was getting up.
I didn't either.
Rusty, you said you caught some clips, but not the entire show, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't watch the Rumble. I actually coming in cold so that I can give predictions and then be told I'm completely wrong. But but my big prediction: someone who has been retired comes out of retirement, and the crowd pops in a huge way and does not deliver in the ring. No. Yes. Oh, that sounds like a pay-per-view though, doesn't it? Come on.
No, that's AEW stuff. No, that sounds like AEW. Let's be real.
I don't know. I mean, the Rumble has a long history of bringing some kind of legacy person out of the locker room they haven't seen in like 10 or 20 years, and all of a sudden they walk out there and they do maybe their signature move. And quickly are
I feel like we haven't seen that in a couple years where there's been a talent that's been away for X amount of years and just suddenly popped up.
We did have some last night.
Trish showed up.
No, you could argue that she's been active in the last 2 years though, but like what Rusty's saying is someone like from time, like maybe 5-10 years
Clown?
ago.
We did have one in the Women's Rumble.
Okay, well we're not who?
Nikki Bella.
How long has she been away for?
She's been away for quite a minute.
Yeah.
I feel like she's just back because she's broke, but that's beside the point.
It's possible.
I feel like the last time we saw Nikki was the all women's pay-per-view.
Year and a half. Yeah.
I think it was
Nikki Bella. The last time was Evolution, I feel. So 6 years.
That's what I feel like it was. Because she's been doing that bar show with Blake Shelton and
no, that's Brie.
That's Brie?
That's Brie doing the bar show. No.
Oh. I know she had a baby, didn't she? Did she have a baby?
Well, that's a good reason to not wrestle.
So let's start off with the 2 out of 3 falls tag team match between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. Before we start talking about it, Rusty, since you didn't watch, who do you think would win this match?
Say it again.
The 2 out of 3 falls tag match between DIY and Motor City Machine Guns.
2 out of 3, eh? And did they do the whole like? They each won one and then they won the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise, yeah. I'm gonna say Machine Gun. I'm gonna say Guns. I'm gonna say the Guns won.
It should have been the winner.
That should have been. That is correct. That is correct. They should have been the winner, but we ended up having title retention of DIY keeping the belt over Motor City.
Do they pull some dirty underhandedness?
Yes.
They don't per se, but outside interference does.
Yes.
You had a returning tag team that's been injured for probably about the last 2 months, and they came back and essentially beat up both teams.
Take this one.
Well, that's interesting
because they want their claim.
And then what? I guess the promo will be that the next time there's a match, they have to go through the one team and then go after the title holders, or it'll be like all three of them kind of chase each other for a little while. It's a good setup for a run like that.
Yeah. I didn't like the fact that, yes, we know the Rumble matches go over an hour. We knew Kevin Owens and Cody was going to go for a minute. You gave these two tag teams, two of the best tag teams in the game, 19 minutes for a 2 out of 3 falls match. 19 minutes.
Let's see.
That was a whole match, like for all 3 falls.
All 3 falls were 19 minutes combined.
It did feel very rushed.
That's a very fast match. Yeah,
And
but I mean,
don't-
it's with a 2 out of 3 falls match. I mean, that is the bigger question is that, like, why does it need to be a 2 out of 3 falls match? Like, what was the buildup that made it important that it had to be that you beat them twice in order to get to win? Like why not just do a 19-minute tag match? You know, not that I'm criticizing it. It's just that to me there should always be a reason why that's happening. I guess they're trying to heighten the drama because it's a pay-per-view, but
They've been going back and forth a lot with these two teams. DIY had the belts. They lost them through the bloodline. Motor City Machine Guns took them. DIY beat them to get it back. And now they've been wrestling. There's been interference going on in other matches, so they felt the best way to do this would be a 2 out of 3 falls to get a true winner. The team that came in and interfered, the Street Profits, they were the number 1 contenders before one of them suffered an injury. So that's where they got involved, and they feel their stake their claim because they want to go after the team that currently has the belt because they're the ones that injured them.
I just miss the fact that I know it's 2 out of 3 falls, but I feel like we've gotten a lot of those here lately, more than normal, at different promotions. Just bring back 3 stages of hell. Give me a normal match. Give me a hardcore, and then settle that bitch in a cage.
So Zodiac says, how much longer was it supposed to go considering the crowd was barely invested? And then also says that Zodiac said earlier that the DIY really enjoying them as heels. I do too, but I mean, yeah, I mean, so that, like, when you say something is rushed, that means that it's not like, if it feels rushed, then the audience is gonna they're gonna have a hard time getting invested, right? And that's yeah. So I mean, again, like that's a bigger issue that I find, that like WWE has got like a lot of talent that they've got to cram into a long period of time, and which makes it that there are moments where you kind of like, when you've watched something for 2 or 3 hours, like all of a sudden the main event, you're like checked out mentally, and like this is an issue, right? Like, you know, better in smaller doses, but
that, and you're also a tag team guy, so you appreciate matches going 30 minutes or a little bit longer because you need time to plan out what you're doing. 19 minutes, 3 falls, 2 elite tag teams. That seems like a little, considering the event could have easily gone 5 hours if they chose to. 4 hours at most. Even each rumble is about $1.20 each, and then so $1.20 each. That's just over 2 hours for the rumbles, and then you could have an hour, like a half hour for the match, and then a half hour for the title match. It still would have made sense.
Yes,
time-wise.
I also think the placement of that tag team match was not the best placement on that card. It's now that we have the 2 rumbles, now the women's and the men's, we're seeing that more, that some of these matches aren't getting the chance to be stretched a little longer. I'm hoping that changes when they go to 2 nights, but it's so hard, I believe, to follow a rumble match. Like, you're just destined to be like, everyone is tired. They've cheered their ass off for an hour. And it's hard to find the crowd not being into it. I don't think that's a good argument, because it's after a rumble match. You're like, you were doomed to be like fucked.
I feel like the crowd was deflated after who won the first rumble.
Yes.
And I think that could have impacted the next match. like you had a good reaction for the winner, but it wasn't the reaction that the main event got. To where that crowd was hyped as hell. If there was another match after that, that match would have got cheered like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's about what they followed, as well as they know that there's 2 other big matches coming for the night. So that match, to me, in regards to a crowd reaction, was destined to fail. Like that was the bathroom break match of the night,
Yeah.
if there was one, because
That
there's only
was-
4 matches on the card, and
Yeah.
the first Rumble was an hour and 10 minutes, and the last Rumble went an hour and 20. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to get up during those.
No, you don't
Yeah.
move during the Rumble matches.
See, Cam was there last night, so there you go. It's just
The like when
card
you
is
wrestle,
rough with 2 Rumbles. That's why when they do go to the
Dual nights, 2 nights.
going to 2 nights would definitely make sense.
well, like when you're wrestling on the indies, there's usually 5 or 6 matches or whatever in the night, and there's an intermission in the middle, and really the best spot on the whole card is the spot right before intermission, right? So like match 2 or 3, like whatever that is, because essentially that's like everyone's still fresh enough to be cheering at their loudest, and then there's a break, which means everyone walks straight over to your merch table, and you get to do all that stuff. Plus there is that thing of what you just said, like being checked out and being kind of depleted. A lot of people take their kids home if it's going late or whatever, and they don't go for the second half. But the responsibility of the person that's on directly after intermission is like that's the hardest spot on the whole card, because they're the ones that got to get everybody reinvested and thinking and hyped enough to think that what's coming is going to be even better than what you saw, or at least we're staying, right? And that's where you're kind of like that if it was that tag match, you know what I mean? Like that high energy, we're going to pull everyone back in. If you went and got something to drink after the Rumble, you need to sit down and realize that you're missing the best thing of the night. Like that's the level of investment needs to be. Like the thing that's just on the other side of the halfway point needs to be hooking them more. And what I'm hearing is it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, like recently, I mean, this back as this summer, I had the pleasure of going to Money in the Bank, which was I think a just under 4-hour show, and then I attended the Northland show a couple weeks later, where you wrestle at, and obviously there's a different pace, but I was also burnt out after attending SmackDown, NXT, and Money in the Bank in those 3 days. So that's combined 2, 6, 8 hours of wrestling in 3 days. Well, there's still a lot more time in that, but that's still a burnout period. Now, that's when you should be burnt out. But if you're going to a show that's only 3.5 hours, 4 hours long as a Rumble, you shouldn't be burnt out after the first match. I understand what Cam is saying, that the crowd wasn't into it. Fair, but you should still be somewhat of energetic crowd.
Yeah.
Being match 2 in the night.
Yeah, I would have if I was doing it, I would have either put them on first or bring back the match during the countdown. Because not having matches during that countdown gets boring as shit sitting in the arena.
I also don't understand though why they have moved why they even had the tag team titles on the Rumble. I felt like it was more of we haven't had a tag team match on a pay-per-view in ever long, so let's just throw it there. It could have sufficed as the main event on SmackDown on the night before.
It could have.
Like it's been doing, and it works.
They might have had more time doing it on SmackDown the night before.
But that's considering SmackDown moved to 3 hours, it would be a hell of a thing.
They could have main evented it.
You could have had, if it was going to be a squash match in a sense, because 19 minutes you could consider a squash really if you wanted to. I know squash match is like 5 minutes, but you know what I'm saying.
I would consider for 2 out of 3 falls, 19 minutes being considered a squash.
Right.
You could,
Yeah.
I could sit for not to be a squash. 1 fall takes 19 minutes. The second fall, 10 to 12. The third fall, maybe try to go that 20. If you
but even if you're going, Well, even if you think about it, even if you're going the 2 out of 3, you know, team 1 win in 19, then team 2 wins in 6, and then the third pin goes about 20.
Yeah,
6, because then it's a quick, oh shit, we got you back quick.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
drag out that third fall.
That short second fall to catch the crowd going, all right, that was quick. Now we got to pay attention.
Right.
I disagree, Cam. 3 hours
So that-
is not a mistake. I'm sorry.
I still haven't got enough 3-hour SmackDown to make that argument yet.
It's allowing more talent to be seen on screen. They're giving the matches more time, and it's just
Back to my point though here. Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off.
No, go
my
ahead.
point for this match is you didn't need the tag team title match on the Rumble. You could have showcased maybe an NXT talent of either of the North American titles because you had the NXT talent there anyways. Hold on. Or you could have had either the female belts that have just been presented as a match on the card. You could have done it.
I agree with you. I kind of miss the days of the old, especially the Attitude Era, where there was a singles match, title, singles, and then the main.
Right.
I feel like the champions. Yes, the champions, I believe, should work harder because they are a more predominant face of that company.
Mm-hmm.
And to not showcase them singly, I understand you want to be in the Rumble. It's a guaranteed match at WrestleMania. But, like, isn't Chelsea Green defended that United States title more than Lyra Valkyria has defended her Intercontinental?
I don't think Lyra's defended it yet.
Yeah, like Lyra could have had a singles match, but she deserves it.
I don't think she has a boundary yet. I think that's what's going to be happening shortly.
Yeah.
Well, there's. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, there's an issue as well with with like that kind of the fact that the pay-per-views are so prominent now that, and this happened over a long period of time, but where they're so prominent that, you know, really belts change hands only at pay-per-views. I mean, they do change hands on occasion on television. But it's just so uncommon that it's like if you see a title holder walk out and they're going against some, you know, mid to low card random person, like a throwaway storyline that like no one expects anything out of this match. And that kind of holding space just for the sake of holding space, like they got rid of it because they're like, well, no one is expecting, like we can't just throw a bunch of random people against the champ or act like they had their shot and that's why they go back down to the lower card, all that kind of stuff. But it also, like, the illusion that there's like a ranking system and that it's actually a sport is also kind of like gone with that, because there's only like a handful of people that the title holders even interact with, which has kind of created this bizarre like celebrity within celebrity kind of echelon thing that I just don't see why they needed to do that. You know, like I think it'd be better to be like wild carded up and have it that somebody that's been in the company for 2 days goes and gets their ass kicked by the champ, you know. Like, you know, and that is kind of more of the old school way of things. And it's like, yeah, you're going to go out and the champ's going to beat you. And they're like, oh, wow, I get to go against the champ. You're like, yeah, they are going to beat you. They also might not let you get anything in at all. You just go out there and lose. It'll be fine. Make them look good.
Yeah, but at the time you can then put on your thing, even if you don't get over, you're like, wait, hold on, I get to go out with and wrestle a champ where people are invested in that, so they're going to see me, and if I can get just one move, just one tiny thing, and I can catch their eye and keep them for good.
Yeah. And you know what? If the problem was, okay, let's say, because the women's Rumble went first, for your information, Rusty.
Yeah.
The women's Rumble went first. So, okay, maybe you don't a women's match the following match. Okay, so what you do is you flip the match that comes after that tag team match into that position for the second show card on the card. And then you could have a women's match going into the men's Rumble. You could have just, male, female, or female, male, female, male, and it would have worked. You could have had, Cody and Kevin go on second, which is still a big match in itself, and we'll get to that in a few minutes, I'm sure. But like, why the DIY and Motor City just didn't make sense in that placement to me. It didn't make sense on the card to me. I thought it was boring. I did other things during that match. To be honest with you, I didn't care for it. Not that either team is boring. I just didn't care for it. I could have went with just the 2 Rumbles and be done. I would have been happy.
I could have went with 2 Rumbles, either Tiffany or Rhea, and then Cody and Sammy, or Cody and KO.
Right
there. 2 champs, two of your prominent champions, 2 of the Rumbles, 4 matches.
You also could have just had for shits and giggles, because every other woman is in that women's match. You could have had Tiffany versus Rhea in a best on women's match, just to be like, okay, well, these are who you have the options to go fight for.
Yeah.
I watched like a WWE's been like publishing all this random old stuff on YouTube, and I know that you must have saw some of this, but I saw some old arena show that like I don't think was ever televised, and it's funny because it's like the first, I would argue, almost half of the entire show was all like their random jobbers that were like, had almost like no status in the company, but are like winning all of their matches at these shows because the people they're against are like the local guys. So it's like this bizarre scenario of like watching a WWE when they would actually have any other company ever interact with them. It's like, oh yeah, the guys that lose to everybody at our shows, they win at these shows. Right. But it's like, but there was a part of me that kind of thought about it going like, that's also the frailty of the way that things work now, where like that finite amount of human beings means that no one can really have a throwaway story, because everyone is on contract and everyone has to get used. And that's this weird pressure to be like, if we don't come up with matches at this pay-per-view, we're gonna have to shove them into something else. And why aren't they here? And all that kind of stuff of like, of it being like very convoluted.
Since you're raising that point, this might be a controversial part of the conversation, but we've been experiencing this for a few months now, because the black talent, if you will, is not being showcased as much as people would like.
Are you referencing like that, like African Americans, like black
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to who? The IWC?
Well, but you know what I'm saying, because Rusty brought up that point, and that's what the IWC is complaining about, that the African American talent isn't being used properly.
Minority in the IWC.
But you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
they're not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their contracts are, but if their contracts state X amount of airtime and they're not getting it, then yeah, they have a complaint. Like, that's legit.
I think it's just the IWC being the IWC, though.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but like how many people are on the roster, male and female combined? Like 200?
Probably.
I would say probably something like that.
Yeah. And then like having it that it's like you have to utilize the champions to a degree on every pay-per-view, at least the majority of them. So all of a sudden all the belts have to enter into everything to a degree. So then it becomes like these are the leaders of the stories, and if you have a story that's kind of like a B story that has nothing to do with anyone associated to anyone holding a belt, then how likely are you to get airtime, right? Even if your contract says you're supposed to. So it's interesting, but it's anyway, I feel like I'm talking a lot about the.
I mean, I never even thought about contracts having like airtime and usage stuff in it. No, that's actually pretty damn like thoughtful. Be like, well, I'll sign with you, but I want a guaranteed 3 televised matches a month and a guaranteed pay-per-view match every other one. Like,
I feel like we've done.
I don't know if it is.
We've gone way off the rails of this conversation. I love it.
What was the outcomes of the Rumbles? Like any big upsets? Who won?
Well,
I don't even know.
we'll close out the show with the Rumbles. Let's get through the next
All
match.
right.
So the next match, hang on, let me. The next match, Rusty, was Cody versus Kevin Owens. Who do you think won? It was also a ladder match. So who do you think won that match?
I think Cody Rhodes won.
Well, yeah, you're right.
You would be right, sir.
Yeah, but I mean that's just because Cody's been on a bit of a kick for a little while. We'll say just a bit of a how do you do, winning belts and hearts and changing that and having a big beautiful shiny jacket. I'm assuming he had a beautiful shiny jacket for this event as well.
A short jacket, actually.
Really?
Like a Letterman's.
Scalz, can you find a picture to bring up to show him?
It was like a sports coat.
Interesting. Was it good? Like, was it a good match?
Oh yeah.
The match was great. I don't like how Cody, like, I'm really over these, and maybe this is just starting to grow my impatience, maybe, but I'm really over these long title reigns. Like, we're going into month 10 now of Cody being champion.
That's not that long.
It isn't, but like I want to go back to the Attitude Era style where the titles,
or his pants.
I want to go back to the Attitude Era style where the titles are switching hands every so often, maybe even on shows like television shows, not just pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I'm bored of Cody's reign. It's not that he's a bad champion. I'm just bored of it. I'd like to see I would love to see Kevin Owens win it. Let him have a short little run. You know, they're coming to Canada next month for the next PLE. Have a Canadian champion come in. You know, he could lose it at Chamber and that'd be fine. But let him hold it.
Yeah. So like the idea of like, again, like Attitude Era style, you know, this year, here's the 16 people that held the belt.
Yeah, why not?
1 year, you know, and out of those 16, that guy held it like 5 times. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I think that there's flows, right? Like I think it'll come back. You know, I don't know if it'll be soon, but I could see that having a return. Like, don't you think? Like, they're trying to change things up every which way they can once in a while. You know, like, you know, now that the whole post McMahon era kind of thing. So like, who knows what they're going to do next?
Last night was a big show that you could almost predict sometimes what they're going to do next.
Yeah,
right.
Well,
I mean,
I will say 3 out of the 4 is almost predictable.
Yeah,
really?
you could, yeah. But the Cody match, I mean, me and Scalz had this conversation after the event last night. I jumped on a phone call with them. There is actual legitimate concern that Cody and Kevin are both legitimately hurt after that match.
Okay.
Scalz brought up the point that in one spot they did, I can't remember what the move is called, but KO had him up in a suplex style, moved off the top of the rope, and the way Cody landed on the ladder and like the way he stood up for a second and then fell, you could almost see him get knocked out, and he didn't move for almost a minute afterwards because the camera kept off him for a reason.
Wow.
So Scalz pointed out he was probably knocked out on that move alone.
He looked like he was out, unless he is just that good of a seller.
I mean, KO.
He could. They both are to what it is. But I mean, you watch that back 4 different times, and it's weird.
Do they have matches booked for pay-per-views anytime soon?
The only thing we've been told about Elimination Chamber so far is that Cena has said that he's entering it. Now, I don't know if he's going to have to go through the tournament style that Adam Pearce announced today, or if he's just golden ticket given.
He's in. Triple H said in the presser last night, if Cena wants into the Elimination Chamber, he's in. He's earned that right to declare.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, we look back. Who won the first one?
I don't even remember.
Wasn't it Shawn Michaels?
John Cena won it, and that's when the Ultimate Opportunist was invented.
No. You're wrong, sir. The Elimination Chamber, that was New Year's Resolution 2006 that you're talking about. I just watched it the other day on Netflix.
That wasn't the first?
No. First one actually took place at 02 SummerSlam, I believe. Because Shawn Michaels, Goldberg, Triple H.
Is that when Shawn wore the brown pants?
Yeah. I believe Shawn Michaels was the first winner of the Elimination Chamber.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Because Eric Bischoff is the one that introduced the concept. It was either 02 or 03, but I know the first one took place at a SummerSlam.
It needs to
Survivor Series.
Survivor Series 02.
Go back to the chain.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. SS. I believe it should go back to the chain link style the way they used to have it, 100%.
Yeah, this one just
November
looked
2002.
And the winner was Shawn Michaels.
I'm pulling it up right now.
I believe that was the last World Heavyweight Championship he won.
To lead him to Triple H, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was Shawn Michaels, and it was at Survivor Series, and it was done in New York City. Interesting.
But I know which one you're talking about, Jax, because like I said, I watched it the other day.
That was the Triple H one, that one, in New Year's Revolution. In 2005. Unless you're talking,
we're talking about 06.
That's where
06 is when Cena and when Orton did it. Okay, I get them confused.
They're all great matches, though, for the most part.
Oh yeah, no, the original chambers were. I mean, still today the chambers they come up with some really cool shit to do. But the brown pants always threw me off with Michaels. He was one punch.
Because we might talk about what's upcoming, but you want to talk about the Women's Rumble now, Scalz?
Yeah, we can go to the Women's Rumble.
All right, all right, Rusty. 30 women. Give your field pick. Give me 3 surprises that you think came, and give me the winner.
Okay. Oh my God, 3 surprises. Surprises, Josh. That's hard. So someone gets betrayed by someone they think is their friend.
You could also just like 3 surprise entrants. You can go with that too.
Oh, he's correct on that. Check.
Yeah, you're good on that though.
It was unintentional, but yes.
Nia Jax squashes somebody.
Squashes a few people. Yep.
Good. Did she win?
No.
No. Oh, okay. One more thing. Let me think. Did anybody try to hide outside the ring for any period of time whatsoever, or?
Yes, Scalz. Yep.
No.
Chelsea.
When?
She was on the apron. She went outside the bottom rope and waited for Piper to come in.
Yeah, remember because we called that like she didn't go over the top. She went.
Right before Piper came in.
Yeah.
Man, I want to say who won. So Nia didn't. Chelsea didn't either.
No.
I don't know then. Who won?
Most obvious person you could ever think of for women's wrestling in WWE.
Oh, that's strange. That's well, who was it then?
Hold on. Don't say nothing. Give me 2 surprise entrants now.
I have to come up with surprise entrances.
2 of them.
It's going to be kind of hard.
Oh my God. And no one came out of retirement. You said that already. So now it's like surprises because of the current roster.
Well, technically one came out of retirement.
You could consider her retired, but she's not retired. I don't know how to really explain it.
I would consider it semi-retirement.
Just gotta tell me. I can't think of anybody.
Well, 2 technically semi-retired.
Returns we had was Trish Stratus.
Oh wow. Okay. Good.
Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
And then you had a big return who has been out of action for 2 years now.
Who was that?
Yeah, we'll see if we can guess this one.
She had a baby recently, and then
She's married to a pop star.
I'm Google searching it.
She has a dark side.
At least he admits to it, and not like somebody else.
Is it Charlotte Flair?
No, but she did come back. But that was announced.
Come back.
She's already back though, right?
No, she was.
No, she came back last night.
Now she's back.
Oh, that was the first. That she didn't come back before this. I knew that she was coming back.
Yeah.
She worked with Bray Wyatt.
Did she win? Did she win?
Yeah, Charlotte won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Terrible decision.
And was it sloppy, or was it good?
It's a Charlotte Flair Royal Rumble win.
No, I have to give her credit. It was not sloppy.
It wasn't sloppy. That's good. That's great.
But
the biggest person to come back though last that even if she won, I would have been pissed. Alexa Bliss.
Oh, okay. And how did she fare? Oh, go ahead.
She fared pretty good. She lasted, I think, 20-some minutes, didn't she?
Alexa Bliss?
Yeah.
You're going to be pissed when you hear this. 11 minutes and 1 second.
It felt like 20.
And she didn't eliminate anybody.
Yep.
That's okay. But before my problem here is Charlotte's talented 100%, but you just come back from injury. Like I said, if Bliss won, I'd have been pissed too because she's just come back. If Jordan Grace would have won, I would have been pissed too because she just signed to be. But the fact that Charlotte Flair comes back from almost a year and about 13 months absent.
14 months. She was injured.
14 months absence. Right. I forget that the Royal Rumble took place in February this year, not January. 14-month absence and coming back and winning is a slap in the face to every one of those women in that division that have been working their ass off for 14 months.
Yes.
And I personally would have liked to see Bayley have won. And here's my reason, because I would have loved to see the first ever back-to-back women's Royal Rumble winner that has not been done before.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we get Charlotte Flair being the first ever 2-time women's Rumble winner.
I wonder why that is.
It's a big roster. Then they got a lot of ground to cover. They got to make up for all the times that they only had male rumbles, right? Like all the things were all those years that they didn't have it. All of a sudden now they have to cover that ground, and it's going to be weird.
Charlotte Flair came out in the infamous number 27 spot. It is the second. It is now tied with 28 as the most popular winning spot in Royal Rumble history.
Really?
She eliminated 4 fellow wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Scalz, where are you getting that information? How is number 27 like what? That is such a bizarre. I would assume last is the best place to go out. Like
it's not.
No, 27 is the
27 and 28 are the two
it's weird
biggest numbers for Rumble.
Here was my thing.
Number 1, 2, and 3 all lasted over 1 hour and 6 minutes in the match.
There you go.
With the third person lasting a new record.
Breaking record.
Women's Rumble. 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 47 seconds.
Wow.
She was the last one thrown out by Charlotte. And that was NXT superstar Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
She's not an NXT superstar anymore. She's a main roster talent now.
She's technically still listed as NXT.
At the end of Royal Rumble last night, she said she's here to do damage on the main roster now. Thus, now she's a main roster talent. Mr. NXT, I'm just saying what Roxanne's words were exactly.
She went into the match as an NXT superstar. She left the match as a main roster star. It's different.
I had to agree with Scalz on this one. She was credited as an NXT star entering the Rumble.
Keep in mind, I barely could hear shit the commentator was saying. I have children.
Yeah,
they're loud.
But here's my thing. You had the perfect chance. You had 2 years ago, this, in my opinion, 2 years ago, this Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley story started in Texas. 1 and 2, first 2 in the Rumble, last 2 in the Rumble. She comes out at number 2. It would have been badass if she would have came out at number 1. Put Liv at 1, have her run through it, have her be the Iron Woman, go out Monday night on Raw, call out Rhea, and say, anything you do, I can do it. And you lead it right back into Mania and let Mania be what Mania is. The nail in the coffin in a feud. Let it finish. It's done. It's like, I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't agree with it. It's fucking, if I was any women's, like a predominant women's talent on that roster, I would have been just as pissed seeing Charlotte waltz right back in, right back to the top. Okay. Like, it's fucking dumb. She doesn't deserve it. She has not worked as hard as these other women have in 14 months. And pretty much we just saw Triple H do what a certain someone did with Hulk Hogan. Oh, I take care of you. I take care. Okay. You and Flair were in Evolution together. Okay, so Flair actually owes Triple H more favors for keeping his career going. It's dumb.
And to Allison's point, yes, she did do a wonderful job putting over Roxanne. I'll agree with that part, but she could have let
You know how to put over Roxanne?
Win.
Charlotte should have let both win. You should have let Charlotte. Charlotte should have been. If Charlotte loves the business as much as she says she does, she would have done the job just like Cena did it for Jay.
And Rusty got ruined for the men's.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but that fucking so much good talent.
That's
on that roster right now. But
those were two of my picks. I was either going to be Cena or one of the Usos. That's what I would have said.
So while we're still in the conversation of the Women's Rumble, I pointed out something today to Scalz, and he didn't know this, and you won't know this, Jax, and you definitely won't know this, Rusty. What number did Trish Stratus enter at, Jax?
Trish Stratus?
Yep. Do you remember?
Yes, give me 1 second. 25.
25. What is this year in Trish's career?
25 years.
Now put 2 and 2 together. She got the 25th spot because it's her 25th anniversary in the company.
She's been wrestling since 2000?
Yes, sir. She was a manager in 2000 for TNA.
That's fucking dope.
They made sure to make that I heard that part. They made sure to make that a punctuation in her entrance last night, that the outfit she wore was also a tribute to what she wore the first night coming into the company. And she was a manager for TNA, Test and Albert, when she first started. And they made sure to hype up the word TNA because obviously the new contract.
Yep.
But yeah, she came in at the 25th spot to mark the anniversary of her 25th year in the company.
And yes, and I agree with Will. Charlotte doesn't make the calls Triple H does. But I've heard enough shoot interviews and other things where wrestlers have called audibles because of the crowd.
And I think if Roxanne would have won that match, that crowd probably would have went nuts for her.
No, it's nuts. I wouldn't have been able to watch NXT Tuesday because I wouldn't have been able to. Booker wouldn't have shut up, but it would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? The Women's Rumble was fantastic for the most part.
Yeah, the women went out there and performed like no other.
A lot of nice spots, some teases. Nia Jax, I think, eliminating 6 women at once was something to be.
That was the worst spot in the entire thing.
Rusty, you're muted if you didn't know.
Nia Jax eliminated a total of 9 people. She eliminated a person, technically. She eliminated a person. every less than a minute for every elimination. She was only in the match for 8 minutes and 13 seconds and eliminated 9 people.
I thought she was in there for 15. See, this is what I mean by it seemed longer. Like I thought she was in the match for 15 minutes.
Nope. Charlotte was in there for 15.
I missed the entirety of her eliminating 6 people because I was dealing with a toddler. But like when I read that Nia eliminated, like I seen the screen, it said Nia Jackson. There was like a bunch of names afterwards. I was like, what the fuck?
Al, I mean, you think Charlotte is the most marketable one that the women's roster has? She was not even a top 10 merch seller for women's last year.
Yeah.
Like, Roxanne is the top women's seller in NXT until Julia showed up. Roxanne is a lot more well known than people give her credit for. She is known from Reality of Wrestling. She is also known from ROH beforehand as being the youngest ROH champion.
And reintroducing the Women of Honor division. You're only marketable if a machine is behind you. I could be the guy that lives upstairs from me could probably be the best wrestler to ever live. If you don't market him correctly, he ain't gonna be shit.
Yeah, no, there's tons of examples of like poorly rolled out, characters and all the weird gimmicks.
I have a question for you, Rusty.
Yeah.
Given that you're the wrestler on the panel tonight, you've seen these superstars in different indie promotions you've been involved in. Would you agree? Like you said, like if they're not rolled out the right way, they're not going to be taken. Do you have any examples on the indie scene where you don't have to mention any names, but do you have any stories kind of like where you've seen that take place personally?
100%, yeah. Like when it's like it's similar to connecting with an audience, right? And when someone goes and figures out how to like get the audience on their side, whether it's good or bad, face or heel, all of a sudden you see more people coming over and getting autographs and buying things from them, right? And the thing is, like, a lot of people want to interact with these stars, people that have been on television, but if they come out and they're kind of like they don't give the vibe that what is happening is special and meaningful to the audience, then all of a sudden it's like they just kind of, you watch the audience just kind of pull back and almost gravitate towards somebody else. And what we're talking about is the fact that the difference is an indie show is that you have control to do that yourself. When it's television and these bigger media machines, you really don't have that much control yourself. Like, you're following a script, you're following direction that other people have given you, and if that direction is terrible, then you get to go out and watch how the choices that other people handed you lead to everyone gravitating towards someone else, or all of a sudden they come back and say your shirts are not doing well, so we're not making enough money off you, so we're gonna pull you back a bit and push other people forward more because they're doing well. Because in the end, like, the bottom line is making money, and meanwhile, like, it's kind of a bummer that the decision isn't even yours to
right.
But yeah, I've seen people that have been, they're big deals. They've been on television, they've been to WrestleMania, all that kind of stuff. And then, I've watched them like just completely not get a crowd on their side. And it's fascinating. I've even seen some really strange stuff where it's like they lean into the exact opposite of what they should do harder, and have people just walk out of the room. Like, it's fascinating. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, television's got to trust your team, and in the end, like, that's part of the reason why contracts came up earlier, is that, like, there's a big difference between showing up and carrying the chairs and loading the ring and doing all that stuff, making $50, or sitting down and signing a $250,000 contract and having like personal assistants tell you where to go and all that kind of crap,
Right.
Al, to be fair with your comment, the only reason anybody knows who Charlotte is because of her last name. If she didn't
Anyways,
have that, she wouldn't be getting
moving
the
on
shot
to the
that she
men's
got.
rumble. Give me who you. Well, you already know who won.
You can't ask him who won. I've already fucked that up.
I got there. Give me a couple surprise entrants that you think happened. Not surprises in the match, but surprise entrance.
So how much work did John Cena have to do? That's one of the things I'm interested in asking.
He wasn't out there. You didn't see him, so.
Yeah, I did. For some reason, a lot of these guys, like Jey Uso, just like went like this to the air and won. Couple guys eliminated themselves. It was weird.
Okay.
There's some entrance music, but nobody came down the ramp. It was weird.
Yeah. It was like, hey, play the music, guys.
Oh, so they had I was at a I think I want to say it was, I'm not going to say what promotion it is now actually, but I was at a show where I saw Joe Henry coming out as an indie show in London, Ontario, and they had like a technical problem and his music just like cut off halfway through it, and he just froze in the aisle like mid walk as if time had stopped, and he just stood there waiting for like 2 minutes. And 2 minutes doesn't sound like a long time unless you're sitting there in silence as an audience going, what the hell is going on? Watching people running around trying to fix these screens and speakers and like kind of freaking out. And he just stands there, and then eventually he just kind of slumped his arms. He's like, okay. And then he just went in the ring and had a match, and there's no music.
So, I don't know if you're just previous to the whole conversation. We're joking about Cena. He was in the match. He did a good load of stuff.
Oh, but, you're doing the whole thing?
Yeah, you can't see it, right?
Are you sure that's not why the other? Oh, okay. Was that the whole thing? Like, were there actually other people who came out to no music, or there was no music play, but no one came out, or?
No. The thing. That's why I said that's why the music played. Nobody came out. Because you can't see Cena, right?
Yeah, it's like a photo, like every photo that ever happened. You're like, and also John Cena is in it.
Yeah,
I know.
But give me a couple surprise entrants that you think entered the men's Royal Rumble.
Surprise entrance.
There wasn't a plethora of them. I'll give you that. So
there wasn't, or there was.
There wasn't. So I'll give you that as a hint. So you got to be really sparse with this.
Do they have anybody that was like unknowns or like new introductions, like somebody wearing a mask or someone who's like been ringside for somebody else and in promos only?
You could say the ringside thing.
We could say the ringside thing. We can't say that.
But it's not a commentator. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So who was it? Who was that? Because that's also another thing that usually the Rumbles do is they'll pull.
I'll be honest. If I tell you, I would be.
You're gonna have to show the clip.
I would be shocked if you knew.
Oh well, then just say it. Who is it?
I Show Speed.
What does that mean?
It's a content creator. He's got like a million or some millions of followers.
It's a content creator who doesn't cover wrestling at all.
No, but this is what Logan Paul has been bringing to the table by entering in. Is he's been bringing all these kind of.
He works with Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and that's been like, who was it? Who was it that was wearing like the Prime outfit at?
That was him.
No, KSI wore the Prime one too.
Oh, so yeah, they both were.
They both did it. Speed did it.
Can you bring up the clip of Speed though and Breaker?
Oh no,
because you have to watch this,
dude.
Rusty, you have to.
God,
do the wrestlers hurt him?
Oh no, they didn't. One did.
Yeah, it's one man, and it was bad. No, two. It was two technically that hurt him.
Yeah,
because Otis fucked him up pretty good too.
Otis fucked him up pretty good, but that fucking. Jesus Christ.
This clip has been seen like 3 or 4 million times in the last 24 hours.
Try 27 million impressions on Twitter.
Oh, see? There you go. Watch this. Rusty, if you don't bust a gut, I swear, I don't know. You can't be friends anymore.
Scalz before you hit play.
You can't be full friends anymore if you don't bust a gut to this.
You ready, Rusty?
Yeah.
He comes out. He does a little bit, but this is the bit. This is the major part.
Oh, look at that! He can do a flip.
Yeah, ready?
Boom.
Wow,
And then
nice. No, yeah, that's. Now hold on. It was Otis. Was Otis?
he was already
just
eliminated.
like what? So he was just waiting there. He's like, I'll just hurt this. Stay ringside. Just hurt this guy.
Got eliminated by him. Him and Braun Breaker eliminated Otis.
Wow.
And then it turned into that.
Yeah. It was pretty much, and I saw the best tweet today about it. Dustin Rhodes retweeted that spear and simply put, welcome to the business.
Yeah. Well, it's I know. I mean, there's a part of me that's like, what is better for a YouTuber than to be able to go to a major WWE promotion and have a major clickbait about them, right? Like just like massive, like the guy wearing the Prime thing, like Orton, like drop kicked him, and it looked like
that was Speed. The one Orton RKO'd was Speed.
Like that was like, it looked like he knocked him into another world. You know, like he just like there was obviously like the kid, he was not holding back anything, right? But at the same time, like how much does that guy weigh? Like 150 pounds, right? Like something like that. Like he's not.
Got to give the kid credit though that he's willing to take those bumps. Good for him.
Yeah.
To start the men's Royal Rumble, it was Rey Mysterio and Penta. Wow. Zeno, Meadow. And I'm really, I'm going to say this because it drives me fucking nuts. I hate how WWE calls the Canadian Destroyer a Mexican Destroyer. They can fuck off with that. It is called a Canadian Destroyer for a reason.
Don't call it for him as that.
What?
Penta, the Mexican Destroyer.
I don't give a shit. It's not the move's name. Just like, he jumped over, just like Logan Paul doing his buckshot lariat. It's called a buckshot lariat for a reason.
You're possessive over the Canadian Destroyer, like the one move that looks the most like obvious that someone could die, and that there's no way that it could phically happen if the other guy.
Listen, I watched Jacob Fatu get Canadian destroyed, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Okay,
that's awesome.
I watched a video on YouTube today. This has nothing to do with anything, but a guy was wrestling at CZW, wrestling Mike Seidel, and did a fucking backflip Styles Clash.
I don't even know.
I'll find the clip and send it to you.
I don't know what that would look like.
I didn't know it was possible.
I tried to pitch to my one wrestling buddy that he should just do a Stone Cold Stunner as his finishing move, but then call it the Bane, like the Bane Blast. His name's Josh Bane. And I said, you should just do it and act like Stone Cold Steve Austin never existed. Like every time it's like, oh, that's the Stone Cold Stunner. You're like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about. And just like completely sell that the whole time. It'll make people nuts.
His current finisher, you could have called the Bane Buster, but you know.
Yeah. But then I found out I didn't watch a whole bunch of like WCW and ECW in that time, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like I wasn't watching wrestling around that time period. So I was like raising young kids and going to college and all that crap. And I found out the whole Cannon Cutter dressing up like DDP friggin' thing. And I've been watching compilations of Cannon doing the cutter on people, and I've been laughing so hard because I'm like, that's literally what I just pitched somebody else to do, is just like be in your own world. You're totally parodying somebody else, but you're just don't acknowledge it. Just do your thing. I don't know. Anyway.
I'm not possessive of the Canadian Destroyer. I just think it should be called the proper name.
All Petey Williams did was kind of tweak Amazing Red's move. So think about it. Think about it. I know it's the truth. Amazing Red would sit on your back and do it. The code red. All Petey Williams did is act like he was about to powerbomb you. But that's some of the best moves are done that way. And I don't feel like Petey Williams stole it from Amazing Red. No, Petey Williams took the move, made it his own, and kept going with it.
And since Scalz, I'm bringing this up again because now I'm annoyed with the way Scalz said that. So you say that, oh, they just gave Penta a call because it's Penta, it's the Mexican destroyer. So why didn't they call when Bunny did it the Puerto Rican destroyer?
He made a good point. I mean,
I'm just saying.
I love you, man. That is.
I'm just saying, homie.
Because Penta's staying around, but Bunny was not.
Yeah.
Bunny was in a 6-month program with them.
He wrestled.
It doesn't matter. They didn't
Yes,
call it
it
the Puerto
does.
Rican destroyer.
Penta is signed with the company. Exactly. They called it a Bunny Destroyer.
Well,
The first time they didn't, though. That's anyways.
in a
It's
very
still fucking stupid.
in a very
Stop
similar
renaming moves.
in a very well to agree with that, and very similar yet different way. My buddy Adam Smasher Parks is called his last name is Parks because of the Sunset Flip, because the person who created and developed the Sunset Flip was named Diddy Parks, and he was from up in this area. And the reason, and although lots of people do the Sunset Flip and they called it that, it was because of an actual area where all the wrestlers would stay when they came up to Northland Wrestling in the 60s and 70s, which is called Sunset Parks, which is like because in that time period there wasn't a lot to do, so people would come up north and they'd fish and they'd hunt, and that was like they'd stay up here after the shows, right? So this whole weird local history thing, like that move is called that based on this kind of agreed thing. And when they, and if someday they decide they don't agree on it anymore, it'll be collectively. What I'm hearing right here is that like there's people territorially saying, this move was called this, and now someone's renaming it. I'm like, I don't know. There is part of me that's like, as much as it's getting into nationalism at some point where you're saying the Mexican destroyer versus the Canadian destroyer, like the something destroyer, and whatever country you are affiliated to, insert that here. That, or is it the person getting destroyed who inserts, so if I'm doing it to someone from Australia, but I'm Canadian, is it now still a Canadian destroyer? I'm destroying someone from Australia.
Listen, if someone from Australia does a Canadian destroyer, I want to call it the kangaroo destroyer.
Well,
listen, I'm gonna need to see Rusty do one, and I'm gonna call it the Blackwell destroyer.
It's because even if I tried to do it to someone else, I'm gonna be the one that gets destroyed. I don't think I can flip it.
I've seen you take some bumps. You're good.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
I've seen you jump off ladders, get thrown through stuff. You're good.
Thank you. I'll keep trying.
Give one of the Digglers a sunset flip off the top of the ladder.
if you can believe it, I actually can do a sunset flip. Yeah, doesn't seem like it, but I can.
I could see it. You're a pretty athletic, pretty guy. So
after watching Bam Bam Bigelow, big guys can do anything they want. Trust me.
Bam Bam, in my opinion,
one of the best ways I could describe Rusty to you, Ginger, watching him like actually wrestle in person is like an I-bar style.
Okay, hell yeah, I like I-bar.
Yeah, he's got like a bit. He's very quick and he can move and he can do moves that he probably shouldn't be doing at his size, but Rusty can do them.
Well, and only when I'm supposed to, though. Like, that's the other
side. You're not just doing it to do it. But you're pretty athletic in the moves like that. Big boys don't typically do.
Well, and that's the best. That's the hard part, right? Is that like we're telling it. There's this whole story being told through many matches, and if what was it? That match where I had that really stiff lariat, and it broke 4 of my teeth, and I had said make sure to lay it in, but that's because that was with Matt Black last summer, and it was like a fatal 4-way, and he wanted to do something because it was like near the end. He's like, he wanted to look really good, and he said, so I'll just pick up Rusty and like slam him, and everybody's sitting there going, but I mean, are you ever going to have a match together? Like, he's a big guy. And he's like, yeah, but I'm really strong. And I'm like, we're not saying you're not strong. Like, you are. But if you're able to just walk over and pick up a 350-pound guy and throw him around, like, why would you ever? Why apparently you're just going to walk through the whole company, right? Like, can you please treat this like it's a big deal? Like, if my size is all that I've got going for me, if that's the story we're telling, then I don't want to give that away easily. So
Right.
then we came up with this lariat that broke all my teeth, and he looked good. Yeah.
Fair enough. So the final two contestants are, sorry, I'll allude it with this. The final 6 in the Rumble. Usually we talk about the final 4, but the final 6 was probably arguably the most star-studded final 6 in recent memory. You had Logan Paul, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and the eventual winner himself, Jey Uso.
That's why why'd they stack it so like that? Where they're like, we have to make sure that it's the highest.
There was more
popularity.
stories to be told, though, right? So here's one story that a lot of people probably forgot about that was mentioned on the program last night. The Shield started in Indianapolis. They ended in Indianapolis. They were united in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And then you had Roman and Seth going at each other. And then obviously CM Punk comes out. And then CM Punk has his hatred for Seth. And then Drew McIntyre was out there too. And that was a whole botch. I feel something happened that shouldn't have.
So the whole thing with him is he's mad that somebody got in the way and ruined his elimination spot to help set up his program going forward with the person who eliminated him.
Right.
Because the person was trying to get their stuff in instead of being out of the way for the move to happen.
Yeah. Dave Meltzer's a shitty reporter. Mr. I won't say his name. Fucking say it. Who cares?
Well, it's not who you're thinking who it is.
I don't know. I heard he was pissed. I heard Meltzer said, I won't say any names. It'll come out. All right. You're just, in my book, you don't want to.
There was a lot of people speculating that it was Logan Paul, and Sean Ross has come out today and said it was not him. He hasn't said who it was yet, but if you watched the clip, you could see who it is.
LA Knight and Logan Paul.
It's not, and if it's not Logan Paul,
who else was in the way? I didn't quite catch it.
I'm just saying, if it's not Logan Paul, out of the two you mentioned.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, LA Knight. I mean, you can see it. Like, he didn't try to move. He was right in the way of Priest, and it was bad. But the final 6, though, like I said, so Punk eliminates Roman and Seth, and then I believe it's who eliminated Punk? Was it Jay?
Punk was eliminated by Logan Paul.
Oh, right, Logan. So you put the Rumble on pause for a second, and there's a whole story developing on the outside. Seth two-footed stomped Roman's head into the ground, and then fought Punk some more. And then he curb stomped Roman's head into steel steps. Fought Punk some more. So I feel like there's something going to happen here on the road to WrestleMania between those 3. On the outer clip, just before Roman gets double stomped, you see Roman talking to CM Punk. We just partnered a month ago. How could you do this to me? So there's a lot of like smaller stories being told in the final 6.
So they're building their WrestleMania lower card feuds.
Potentially,
no, they're building the WrestleMania entire card.
Yeah. So could you repeat though? Like, so someone went out and it didn't go the way it was supposed to, and someone.
I'll let Scalz or Jax.
I'm about to rewatch it to figure it out.
So it was a spot where Drew McIntyre was going to throw somebody out of the ring.
Okay.
I don't remember who he was trying to throw out, but Damian Priest was supposed to come up behind him and throw him out over the top to set up their feud going forward.
Okay.
As they did that, Logan Paul and LA Knight were fighting, and LA Knight stood in the way of that spot happening.
so the spot looked bad, and it looked like the spot was botched.
And so like people are there's people complaining
Drew McIntyre is pissed.
Like apparently, and I say apparently because I don't like Dave Meltzer. Just point blank period. Apparently Drew was eliminated, walked to the back, cussing and yelling, and left before the Rumble even finished.
Well, I mean, I don't know that. Last Rumble I was in Winnipeg, and there was a spot where I can't remember what Eddie's last name is, but he was getting thrown out of the ring by this new guy, Drax, that's coming out. He's this 6'4", 21-year-old kind of like Ivy League football player, like linebacker, big guy. And this is his debut is in this Rumble, and Eddie is like 130 pounds, 140 pounds. He's a small guy, and he's gonna spear him like hold him, by the chest, hold him by the crotch, and he's gonna just throw him as far as he can. So a bunch of us that have been eliminated, we know we have to be outside to catch this guy, and we're told like make sure not to be too far away or too close, which means nothing because no one knows how far this is going to go. And there's 3 of us, and the one guy that was in the group forgot about the spot and just left. He just walks right off. So now there's only 2 of us. I turn and walk forward, thinking that the guy's only going to get thrown so far, and just see him just go like right over my head, like just like super high up. And I jump and grabbed him by the ankle and only got him with one hand, and then realized the other guy is like 20 feet behind me. So I'm the only one that caught this guy. And then the momentum of me holding his ankle, I'm trying to do it so the camera can see it. Like he swings back and hits my back. And then I landed kind of on him, but, broke his momentum, and, I didn't land on him too hard. And then he's like, oh man, you saved my life, all this stuff. And, it went, the point is the spot went bad, and who's to blame? I'm like, who cares? Everybody's all right. We did what we were supposed to do. Like, someone gets in your way, like, holy shit, don't diva out. Like, don't like, oh my God, someone stood in front of the camera during my spot. I feel like all the drama that I hear from wrestling, it like all of that stuff, like reporting on all the backroom stuff, it puts a sour taste in my mouth. All of it. Yeah.
Well, Vince McMahon's not around anymore, so you don't have to worry about that sour taste.
Okay, I see what happened. Logan Paul, because you can tell when you rewatch it, after he does the buckshot, you can see Damian look at Drew and say something to Drew. And then LA Knight and Logan basically stand in the middle of the fucking ring while these guys are trying to do what they were trying to do. And it was more LA Knight than Logan.
Yeah.
Like he was dead center of where they were supposed to be.
I feel like LA Knight is a little salty about last year, to be fair. Being most over and not winning the Rumble kind of thing. I don't know. It's all political bullshit, right?
Well, I mean, if you as much as this is kind of a strange thing to point out, like I'm not comparing myself to Logan Paul at all. The guy's fit and he's young, and I'm not either of those two things. But he's also only been wrestling since like 2022. So he's like, as much as he's proven he's very talented, there is a certain amount of like ring awareness. There's a certain amount of experience that only comes with time, and he hasn't had that time. So,
right.
And he's main card material right now, which is kind of like.
Well, there's also, since we're talking about the botch, there's also the Penta elimination that occurred but didn't. Keep in mind, Penta's still freshly new. He's probably still trying to get his timing down where the cameras are, because AEW only has like 2 cameras. Sorry. little dig, but both feet apparently touch the ground. But the only way you see both feet do that is if you super really slow it down.
Yeah.
In the moment, you can't tell.
And I like that they didn't use the instant replay feature, and it falls at the end of the day. It's just like a hockey game, or it's just like a football game. The referee's call is final, and both refs on the outside said he was good. That's the final call.
Right. Into the ending now with Jay and Cena being the final two fighting on the apron.
Oh, wow.
My 11-year-old suggested that they both should fall at the same time.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
It's not the way it went. A couple close calls either way. Cena got super kicked and wobbled pretty good. And then he went to go hit the infamous FU, aka the attitude adjustment. And Jay jumped into the ring, or back into the ring, I suppose you would say. And then he pushed Cena out for the win. Like off the apron.
Yeah.
So that was the end.
I mean, it had me on the edge of my seat with them both on the end of the apron. But when I saw the two, I was like, I went to the assumption, like, all right, fuck, Cena's winning. Like, just last one. He's busted his ass, but fuck, Cena's winning. And then when his feet hit the ground, my feet left the ground. Because it was just like, holy shit. Like, that's the next, like.
Well, Jay's reaction alone, well, after he did it, like you could visibly see him saying, "Oh shit, oh shit!" Like you could see him mouthing that. Like he was, like I'm sure he knew he was winning, obviously, but just that moment of oh shit.
I mean, we all know it's no secret; it's a predetermined sport, but it still has to be that moment that you're like, they talk to you about, hey Jay, you're gonna go over tonight. We got these plans for you. You're like, all right, cool. But somewhere in the back of your mind, like, what if something fucks up? What if I fuck up and I fall out or I slip? So when you win it, it's still like, all right, I fucking finally did it. It's happening. It's true. It's
100%.
reality.
Yeah.
And it's that emotion that all of us wrestling fans love. That's what we
well,
love.
I don't know about you, and I don't think Rusty would either, potentially, but I wouldn't have picked Jay to win.
Jay was not on my radar.
Like, don't get me wrong, he's over, but I wouldn't have said, yeah, he's winning, given the people that are in that match.
Yeah.
No, I mean, strategically, I would have saw, like, it could have been one of the Usos, like one of the two brothers, because it's like they've been positioning them as like this rise, like trying to put them on the same platform as their cousin and all that kind of crap. But it's like, I don't know. I am kind of underwhelmed by the entire thing a little bit lately.
I mean, if you go and watch it, you might not be.
No, and that's fine. One of the things I was going to say is I really liked your comment about like that holy shit moment and the whole prep of it all. And then like you don't know what's going to happen. Like I got knocked unconscious one time in a match, like a singles match. And luckily the guy I was against was supposed to win, and he just pinned me and told the ref, he's like, he's out. And, you know, I was up within 30 seconds, which is still a long time to be laying motionless. But, you know, if I would have been the one that was supposed to win, what was he supposed to do? What, like take a 350-pound guy and like, you know, Weekend at Bernie's me into beating him and have, you know what I mean? Like,
come on, guys.
It's not going to happen, right? Like, so like there's a whole level of like, and you know, there wasn't a title match and it wasn't a big deal. It was just a road show, but it's like, it could happen. It could be that way. Like, you don't know what could go wrong, right? Like, something intense could take place where they're like, you know, in the moment, the ref just turns to you and is like, yeah, you need to like grab him and you need to pin him right now. And they're like, what? And you're like, just no, not what, now. And you just do it. And you're like, yeah, you're the champion of the world. Congratulations. Next week, you're definitely going to be losing to someone else. You were never supposed to get this far, but if you know, it goes terribly wrong and something happens and like, somebody has a heart attack or something, like, who the hell knows, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
life can intervene.
In the press conference that happened afterwards, John Cena announced that he'll be in the Elimination Chamber match. He doesn't care. He wants to do something for himself for once. It's best for business, as he put it. Very heelish, but we know he'll never be a heel. And Jey Uso did a presser as well, and he had said that him and Cena had a very real moment in the ring, and he loves that there's still a little bit of realism in that world.
Yeah. I mean, even the clips that were posted on social media of Jay walking to the back and Jacob being there with a Yeet shirt on, giving him a hug. We know when they're outside of that curtain or not in front of a camera that these guys honestly care about each other, because no way you travel for 300 days out of the year, if not more, with these guys and not grow some kind of bond with them.
Right.
Yeah, for good or bad.
Yeah, I mean, it could be bad, it could be good. But I mean, to see I'll tell you, when the Usos first came to the WWE, I would have never picked Jay or Jimmy to be as big as they are.
Matter that they're both that big, though, is crazy.
Yeah, like, I knew they were Rakishi's kids. But to see how far they have come from driving from wherever it was, Florida, was it?
I think so, yeah.
To fucking Houston, Texas, to go to school with Booker, to where they're at now. Just, yes, Rikishi is the butt guy.
Yeah, but if you also don't have Umaga pushing them,
do you
getting on that tryout? Like, there's so many stories, right? Like, I don't know if you watched Rusty. I don't remember if Jax, you had watched it, but in the Roman documentary, he said the whole purpose of the bloodline was to elevate everybody, not just himself.
Yeah,
and he wanted his cousins to be on the same level. It wasn't just always about Roman, as we as fans might have seen it. It wasn't always meant to be just the Roman story.
Yeah, it goes back to in front of that camera. They did what they were supposed to. They made us feel like, fuck, it's nothing. Roman doesn't care. But when that camera's off and they're back there, they probably look at each other going, all right, guys, we did it again tonight. All right, guys, we're both, all three of us are main eventing WrestleMania. Like, it was, hats off to Jay for doing it, man.
Before we start wrapping up, my early predictions, I put a video out on TikTok and Instagram today for the Elimination Chamber. These are my 6 for the men's. John Cena obviously has already said he's in there. Logan Paul or Drew McIntyre, interchangeable. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and oh my God, who was it that I was thinking? Jacob Fatu.
See, I'll be honest, my pick last night to win the Rumble was Jacob. And because I just wanted to build it where Jacob goes to Mania, beats Cody, walks out Friday night, and tells Roman and Solo and the rest of them, I'm the shit. I'm the motherfucking man right now.
I think
I did something y'all couldn't fucking do.
I just think that would give us arguably one of the most star-studded Elimination Chambers in 20 years.
Is Hulk Hogan physically able to get in the ring and get thrown out?
Hulk Hogan is just canceled.
I'm aware of that, but again,
I
can't believe I didn't say that I predicted that he would come out to this ringside or something because of
Well, I don't know if you watched the Raw debut on Netflix when it started, but
that was
I don't think WWE is going to bring him back anytime soon.
I thought they had signed him though. Like I thought that was it. Like
I think they really went back on it because if you pay attention again, I don't know how current you are with things. The what is it? The All American beer they call it.
Yeah,
it's not beer. Predominantly advertised at all anymore. It's back.
Wow.
It's back to the vodka again.
Yeah, they went from a real American beer. Yeah, they I think that partnership worked all up until the first Raw, and they said, fuck that.
Well, I am fine with that. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Because in the words of the greatest wrestler of all time, Iron Sheik, fuck the Hulk Hogan.
Okay. One bit, just because you brought up Iron Sheik.
Who's running his Twitter now? Because I love it.
No. I'm not talking about that.
No idea.
I'm talking about how my kids would say this thing where they're like, spit on that, Hawk Tua. And I'm like, and I was just like, you kids have all become like 1980s WWF Iron Sheik wrestling fans. And they're like, yeah, I'm like, they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I pulled up the clip here, where they're like, what was it? Like, Russia, #1, Turkey, #1, America, Hawk Tua.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is before his time.
Love that, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Any predictions quickly? Just early predictions of who you think is making an impact at Chamber? Either
impact at Chamber.
No pun intended with the TNA stuff.
Yeah. I think Nia goes in, and Nia pulls it off, leading her to Mania.
That's a good prediction.
And then for men's, I don't know. I fucking don't know. They shocked me with Jay, so I don't know. EO and Cena would be cool.
Scalz says EO and Cena.
Defying all logic. Shadow jumps the barrier, rushes the ring. Lariats whoever the hell's there, steals the Money in the Bank contract from whoever is ringside with it, runs in, cashes it in, gets the title right then.
Pulls and then subsequently banned from every show ever.
Yes,
pulls a WrestleMania 20 canyon.
Yeah,
jumps the ring.
Yeah, but arguably the fans could say you were a title holder.
Yeah.
If you pin them even if depending on the match type,
that'd be great.
What is it? Every time somebody brings a belt to a show, I always tell them, I'm like, if you bring your belt to the show, you have to you have to be ready to defend it.
See, that's why I take mine off the top, because I don't have to defend it, because nobody knows what it is.
Yeah,
just a belt.
But don't bring it to another wrestling show. If have someone be like, that's a pretty nice belt. Did you get in here?
Mr. AJ in the comments he found an interesting thing today on Instagram. Every time John Cena has finished second in a Rumble, he has gone on to win a world title at Mania.
Ooh, that would be very interesting to have it that this is not about Cena retiring, but actually about him sticking around for a bit. That'd be interesting.
He made it very clear last night that he wants 17 now. So I said to Scalz last night, if the legitimate injury to Cody, and I don't know if even KO doesn't really play into this, because if he's hurt, he's hurt. But if Cody is hurt where he can't compete for the next 6 months, that Chamber match in Toronto, the men's now becomes for that title.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion on it. That's how I would build it. And then you have Cena win it there, and then Jay beat Cena at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody else beat Cena, maybe an Orton.
Yeah, I could see Norton doing a run right now. He's been cutting weight and getting back in shape. He's been commenting on it a lot too. Either way, though, yeah, interesting.
Well, that's all I have to say. Jax, you have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
Nah, I'm pretty good.
Rusty, any thoughts before we wrap it up?
Hey, it's been a blast being able to just hang out with all you, and yeah, I'm sorry I didn't watch the Rumble before coming here, but it was more entertaining for me to hear it from all of you than to sit there and watch it. Plus, I was busy working as a wrestler, all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be hosting the prediction show, and I'd like to have you back on, considering you will be there in attendance at that event. So,
I mean, I love hearing Rusty's take, especially coming from the set of eyes of someone in the business.
Right, I enjoy these conversations. But I'd like to have you back on for our Elimination Chamber match because predictions, because like I said, you will be there. So having your hot takes going in would be interesting.
Yeah, and it'll be good. It'll be an interesting time too. So what is that like? Working at that Canadian Deathmatch show during the day, and then going and seeing that night. Hopefully, I'm physically in good enough shape to be able to sit and relax and watch wrestling after whatever the hell goes on at a deathmatch friggin' wrestling show.
I'll bring the ice.
Yeah.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let these gentlemen plug where you can find them, where you can search their matches, or their cut. So Rusty, being the guest he is, go first, my guy, and tell us what's up with your schedule coming up.
Oh boy, real fast. I've got a match at Northland Wrestling coming up in February at Reloaded, where Mac Bridges, who decided to show up and interfere in a title rematch with me and my buddy Tommy McLeod, the Two Gun Kid, where we were trying to get our belts back, our title belts, decided to mess with us and beat us both up after the match. So now, going to get a little payback with him. What else? I just got booked for 5 shows out in BC in May to do a run with All Star Wrestling, which is great. And I'm booked on the next Canadian Wrestling Elite tour for Ontario. But sooner than all of that, on February 15th, I'm going out to the 16th anniversary show for Canadian Wrestling Elite in Winnipeg. So a little bit of wrestling here and there, mostly in Canada right now.
Hell yeah, I love that. Got to get you down into some States matches and find you down there.
Absolutely.
Jax, where can the people find your beautiful face?
Follow me on X at Jax Ginger Ninja. Go check out the YouTube at Real Ginger Ninja. I'm dropping another daily High Club unboxing tomorrow. I do them once a month. Really fun stuff. Really cool things coming there. But yeah, that's about it.
All right.
Bye, Rusty.
Yeah, it was.
Bye, Rusty.
He kind of just bailed out.
My shit's done.
Right. Well, Rusty said that. Excuse me, dealing with a little bit of a cold and sinus infection.
Upper respiratory here. I know it.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Hey,
Rusty's back. Rusty had plugged that he's got some CWE matches coming up. Holy jeez, one sec, guys.
Real quick, while Shadow's coughing up a lung, Rusty, are any of the matches, any of your previous matches, where could someone find those, like on the internet? Like, is it on YouTube or?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. If when I just Google search Rusty Blackwell, just that name usually, and then you probably find a whole bunch of random promos on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. But there's usually some matches in there too. Northland Wrestling posts a lot of their matches. Canadian Wrestling Elite posts a lot of their matches. There's some stuff from Hammerlock out there.
I know. I legitimately just hit. I just searched it.
Oh yeah, there's lots. And yeah, there's matches. Well, I really got to update my my cage match profile because I wrestled 108 times last year, which was it was a lot. It was a lot, and that's not the one guy that I did a huge run with. Sean, the headline Sean Martins, who actually I'm facing on the 15th. He and I it had at least 30 different matches together. So it was just like wild, like working somebody that much. And I hope he hears this, but he is not a fucking gentle guy. Sorry to use blue collar language, but he hits hard, and I had bruises all over my body every time we would ever work, and he makes you earn it. And I'm just proud to be able to even keep up with him, I guess, at all. So yeah. Tough guy. Yeah.
So before
I said all that.
Before I plug myself, Scalz would like to promote that live every Tuesday night at 9:45 on YouTube for NXT on Tap. Friday nights after SmackDown for the hot tag. You can follow all of our stuff on social media at Off the Top Media _. That's where you can find everything related to Off the Top Media, Shadow, Jax, everybody, because he retweets everything. Plugging my own stuff. Rusty had said that he's working with CWE. If you go back into our YouTube, that Off the Top Media YouTube channel, and you go to the playlist called Spotlight with Shadow, you can see me interview the owner of CWE, Mr. Danny Duggan. Great conversation. It was a wonderful person to interview, and I owe that to Mr. Rusty down here, helping me align with these people. You can also check out an interview what I did with Rusty, aka Mr. Clayton, where we deep dive into his actual day-to-day life, not just inside the world of wrestling, but his personal life. And you can catch my last episode for the season on there as well with Jimmy Corderas. A great conversation piece. It was wonderful. We talked about Eddie Guerrero. We talked about Owen Hart, Vince McMahon, stuff like that. Make sure you head over there and check that out. You can find my shenanigans on Twitter at that guy Shadow91. And on Instagram, you can catch me posting random shit and resharing stories of Clayton's and others. And that's that guy Shadow91 as well. This has been the Royal Rumble review. In about 3 weeks' time, we'll be doing Elimination Chamber predictions. Make sure to catch us there. Make sure you're following all these beautiful people and their content. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Off the Top Media's Reviews. Thank you, and good night.